25, Matthew chapter 25, verse 14 through 40. Matthew 25, verse 14 through 40. And you'll have your face just stand. Matthew 14 through 30, I'm sorry. Says, for the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a foreign country, who called his servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own abilities. And immediately he went on a journey. Then he who had received the 5 talents went and traded them and made another 5 talents. And likewise, he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received 1 went and dug in the ground and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them. So he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, you have delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of the Lord. He also who had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, you delivered to me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Then he who had received 1 talent came and said, Lord, I know you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathered where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid, and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But his Lord answered and said to him, you wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money into the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has more will be given, and he who has abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Lord, just thank you for your word. Lord, speak to me through this morning. The words you have given me where this message could help somebody out this morning. Lord, I pray that you clear our hearts and our minds of everything that would hinder us from hearing your words this morning. Lord, I pray if there's anybody here that don't know you, that didn't get to know you before it's too late. Or if there's somebody here that needs to come back to you that drifted away. Lord, just let this message touch me. Lord, just fill us with your spirit this morning. And just take me out of the way, Lord. Speak to me. In Jesus' name. Like I said, verse 1 says, for the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country, who called for his servants and delivered to his goods to them. Jesus at today? Jesus is sitting at the right hand of the Father. But we know that one day, what's going to happen? He's going to come back to call His children. And how many of us, think about it, how many of y'all got a talent? How many of y'all did God give y'all a talent to do something here on this earth? If y'all are Christians, we give us all a job to do here on this earth. He's talking about money here, but it's not just money. We know that as Christians, we need to give to God what is rightly His. And then the Bible talks about what are we supposed to give according to money-wise? 10% of what He gives us. But you think about it, does He only require 10% of our money? He wants 10% or more of our time. And you think about it, don't we come out of on the good end? We give Him 10 and He still allows us to have 90. But even with the 90, we need to be careful what we do, because He calls us to be good stewards with what He gives us. But right here, He gives three of them. We just talked about three of them here. How He gives them talents. And if you look at verse 16 and 17, it says, Then he also had received the 5 talents, went and traded them, and made another 5 talents. And likewise, he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received 1 went and dug it in the ground. I'm sorry, I looked at the wrong verse. Verse 15. That's one I wanted, I'm sorry. He says, that to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to each one according to what? His own abilities. And immediately he went on his own journey. So you know what was saying here by our own abilities? He's not going to give us what? More than we can handle. How many times God, maybe somebody asked you to be a teacher or something or like that? And what's the biggest excuse of most people today? Do that? I don't know how to do that. Well, if God calls us to do something, you know what? He's going to equip us what we need to do whatever job He calls us to do. Even though sometimes it gets hectic. I know sometimes Lisa running around towards the end of VBS, and like sometimes she runs around with a chicken with a haircut all trying to get everything straight. Or she knows she's laughing, but how many of us feel the same way? Sometimes we're trying to get everything straight, and it seems like it doesn't want to all come together, and it seems like right at the end, all of a sudden, you know what? Everything just falls into place, huh? Sometimes you just need to learn how to have what? A little bit more faith than a lack of faith. Because sometimes we're all guilty of that sometimes. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but you know what? If God calls us to do something, He's going to equip us to do it. I know sometimes right before God called me to preach, it's like, man, how am I going to get all the different messages to preach different times? But you know what? God always supplies the messages. And to begin with, it's not my words to begin with anyway. It's His words. But we need to just be faithful that when He calls us to do something, we don't need to be lazy. That's our biggest problem today. Sometimes we get too lazy. Amen. Sometimes we want to just sit back and what is that old saying? Why do it today when I can do it tomorrow? How many of us have that bad habit of procrastinating? Putting things off. And well, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And what happens tomorrow? Well, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And before we know it, when it needs to be done, or when it all comes to time, we're running around trying to get everything done at the last minute. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's guilty of doing things at the last minute, huh? But as Christians, think about it. When they talk about how somebody's traveling to their own country, it says the kingdom of heaven. And you think about it, God, when Jesus was here on this earth, He came to fulfill His Master's plan, His Father's plan. He came, He loved the people, He taught the people. He also died for the people. But on the third day, what happened? God raised Him from the dead. He stayed on this earth for a little while. Then God called Him home to heaven. And you think about it. Aren't we pretty much the same way? God called us to Himself on this earth. But after He called us to Himself, we have a job to do here on this earth. And what is our job here on this earth? Our job is to what? Make more disciples. And not only make more disciples, but teach the disciples how to teach and bring more disciples to Him. And that's one thing that sometimes we lack in churches. When people get saved, we don't disciple them like we should disciple them. What's sad about it is most Christians don't know how to lead somebody else to the Lord. And that's sad. And you think about it. What does it take to lead somebody to the Lord? First of all, it takes our willingness. And you don't need to know all the scriptures. Because to begin with, you think about it. What is trying to lead somebody to the Lord? Your own personal testimony. You tell them what Jesus had did for you. That's our best tool that we have, is our testimony. And if you're a Christian today, you know what? You have a testimony. Sad part about it is most of the time we're keeping our testimony to ourselves instead of sharing it out to others. And that's why I came, which I'm going to get to a little bit later, but that's why I came towards the end when He said, "You lazy." And you know what? A lot of times we lazy in our Christian walk. We lazy in our Christian talk. Because we'd rather talk about everything else here on this earth. I guarantee you, when somebody wins a lottery or wins this or that, boy, they can tell everybody what they won. How many of y'all ever won something before? And boy, y'all told everybody something that y'all won. Or maybe y'all got something, excited about what y'all got, and y'all show it off. Well, why can't we get so excited about our salvation? Why can't we get excited about God's Word as much as the little bit that we get here on this earth? Because you think about it, everything that we have on this earth, eventually it's going to be going up in smoke. But right here, He gave them talents. And we see the one that had the 5, he went and gained 5 more. And if you look at verse 21, so when the one that went 5 more, had gained 5 more, see verse 21, it says, His Lord said to him, "Well done, good," and what? Faithful. Isn't that the key of salvation today? Isn't that should be the key, our goal as Christians, to be faithful to God? It says, "You good and faithful servant, you was faithful over a few things, I will make you ruler over many things." And then what it says? Enter into the joy of the Lord. How many of us want to hear those words at the end when we stand before Jesus and hear Him say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your rest." Then again, the one who had 2 talents went and gained 2 more talents. And again, if you look in verse 23, it says, His Lord said to him, what? "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. How many of y'all ever won somebody to the Lord? Isn't that a great feeling? That you saved somebody from hell and delivered them from hell to heaven? That's what it means right here. When he gave talents and all that, he gives us talents. He gives us different things to do here on this earth. Some he called to be, what he says, some he calls to be teachers, some he calls to be sing leaders, song leaders, some preachers, some different things. He gives us different jobs. But just because it's just a small job, isn't it just as important as a big job? Whatever we do, how are we supposed to do it? With our whole heart, trying to please God. Our biggest problem with most people today, they want to please themselves. They want to make a big old pact for themselves. Look at me and look at what I did. Look at what I did. Well, if you're doing it just to say, look at what I did, you did it for the wrong reason. Because when God gives us talent, when God gives us something to do, we need to do it without blowing our own horn. That way when we stand before God, we're going to hear these words say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter into your rest. And then again, the one that had one talent, he came up and said, right here in verse 24, says, then he who had received one talent came and said, Lord, I know you to be a hard man, reaping where you had not sown and gathered where you had not scattered seed. See, as Christians, we need to be some seed planters. We need to plant the seeds. Not every seed that we plant is going to grow into a tree. And I'm not just talking about a tree out here. Because in the Bible it talks about when we plant the seed and somebody gets saved, we are supposed to produce what? Fruits. And what kind of fruits are we supposed to produce? Good fruits. But like it says here, verse 27 and all that, starting with verse 27. It says, so you had ought to have the deposit of my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received money back from my own interest. So take this talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has more will be given, and he who has abundance, but from him who does not have even more, even what he has will be taken away. See, and the Bible talks about if we don't use our talents, what happens? It's to be taken away. But I tell you what, I know one of our biggest ministries at most churches today is VBS. We got a little week to share a lot. Sometimes it gets hard, sometimes it gets frustrating. But you know what? At the end of the week, when you see these kids, even though sometimes some of them lighten up, and boy, they spitting up the answers, you see that it's worth that week of work. Just hearing them and just planting that seed in them, and we never know where that never know where that seed is going to produce. But our job is to plant the seed. Just like all of us, when we go out and witness, some people that we witness to might not get saved right away, but somebody might come behind us and they might have the opportunity to lead them to the Lord. But He don't call us. We're not responsible for every person that we witness to. All He tells us to plant that seed. And if that person refuses that seed, you know what? They're not refusing us. They're refusing God. And hopefully one day, that seed that we planted, somebody might come back and they might be able to lead that person to the Lord. And I'll tell you what, again, that's one of the most thrilling things to see, is when you're able to make a difference in somebody's lives. And verse 30. What's sad today, there's a lot of these people that's headed in the direction of what verse 30 says. It says, and cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. See, it's sad today that you hear so many people making light of hell. So many people saying, I know I'm going to hell, but I'm going to have fun on my way. You might have heard that before. I'm going to have fun in hell. It's sad. So many people don't really know what hell is. Right here, it says there will be weeping. And they hear people say grown men don't cry. You know what? There's going to be a lot of grown men crying in hell. It says there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Not only will there be there weeping and gnashing of teeth, but it says there's going to be a place where the worm never dies. People are going to be in torment. But you hear these people say, well, I know I'm going to hell. It's so sad how Satan got so many people blind. So many people say, well, I've done too much bad. God cannot forgive me. And that is one of the biggest lies from Satan that there is. Because if God, Jesus Christ, could forgive a thief on the cross that looked at him and said, Father, forgive me. Remember me when you enter into your rest. And Jesus looked back and said, today you will be with me. If he could forgive him, he could forgive you. All it takes is that we swallow our pride and say, I'm sorry. I know I'm a sinner. Please forgive me my sins. Because you know what? Hell was made for Satan and his angels. It wasn't made for us. But we choose hell because we refuse to accept Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. Jesus did everything he could to make it possible for us that when we stand before him, like he told the woman the 5 talents, and like he told the woman the 2 talents, when he said unto them, well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter into your rest. Because you know what? We could have a mansion over the hilltop, but what it takes is by coming to know Jesus Christ as our Lord and personal Savior. We don't need to have a wormhole like they're going to have in hell. So don't let Satan trick you, or don't let these people in this world fool you. There is a hell. And it is hot. And it is dark. And it's a place of torment. It won't be a place of joy and partying like these people think today. Most people got the wrong concept of hell. But I'm come to tell you that heaven is going to be totally opposite. Heaven is going to be a place of joy, a place of peace, a place of no more aches and no more pain. No more popping those pills. No more, remember, trying to set up those little pill bottles. How many of y'all got those little pill bottle things? Sunday through Saturday, little pill thing. You fit one and pour it in your hands and take it. You know what? In heaven, they won't have that. No more doctors. No more glasses, huh, Miss Mary? No more oxygen. No more walking with the cane. I can about imagine seeing Miss Mary in heaven, boys. She'd be dancing in the storms. She won't have to say, hi! Bobby won't have to yell at her. Malachi, Miss Mary! But you know what? It's going to be a place of joy. A place of happiness. And you know what? We won't need to worry about the electricity going out up in heaven. We won't need no light switches. We won't need no light bulbs in heaven, because Jesus is the light. And in Him there is no darkness. So if we know Him, and if we're using our talents for Him, and bringing others to Him, and so making our talents and growing our talents up in heaven, and laying our treasures up in heaven, when we stand before Him, He's going to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter into your rest. How many of y'all want to hear those words from Jesus Christ? And the only way to hear those words is by having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. But the sad part about me is, there's a lot of them that's going to stand before Him. We did not do this, did not do that in your name. And what? He's going to say, depart from me. I never knew you, you worker. You got the choice to make. Jesus did His job by dying for you. I know I say this a lot, but the ball's in your court this morning. Amen. What you going to do with the ball? You going to shoot it in the net of Jesus Christ? Or are you going to fumble that ball with Satan? I preached it. It's there. It's up to you. Let's stand this morning. We're going to have an invitation. Everybody just close your eyes, bow your head. If you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, come and I can help you with it. Or if you need to just turn away and say, I know I'm not living like I should, but I want God to be pleased with me when I stand before Him. Whatever God's working in your heart, do it. Lord, just thank you for your word.